Hello, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Mic. I'm Gary Laubach, along with Mike Joseph, as we'll take a look at the Princeton Tigers this week, a team we have not had very much success against. This is the 48th meeting. We've only beaten them 4 times, and we have not beaten them in the last 8 matchups. So looking perhaps for an upset, and I think it would be considered an upset to beat Bob Cerace's football team. Because, Mike, as we look at Princeton, a team that beat us 40-7 last year, and in fact was up 40-0 before we scored our 7 points, this team is pretty much back intact. I mean, you can say all you want about this being their first game and not having experience. They are absolutely loaded with experience.
Yeah, and we said that last year, but they came in here and everything really went their way. A new quarterback, Chad Knopf, played fantastic. He hit a lot of different receivers. Really, if there is a weakness, it's obviously the offensive line that's got a few guys back, but some of them that played, and a secondary that's got 4 seniors, even though only a few of those had played. But when you have a guy like Dorian Williams, I mean, you have a potential NFL player in the secondary. So they're a team that should have benefited from the extra weeks of practice, and they're a team, I think, that you can't rely on the fact that this is their first game, even though Lafayette has 2 under the belt.
And you always take a look at skill position people. They've got their top 2 quarterbacks back. You already mentioned Chad Knopf, but John Lovett, who runs the ball very well, 6.5 yards per carry last year. They've got Joe Radigan back, who was their leading runner. They've got 6 of their 7 top receivers back. So offensively, they just appear to me to be loaded, and yet they are also as creative an offensive football team as I think you and I see every year.
Yeah, they're loaded, and they have a lot of skill kids. And if you do what they do and you run 80 plays and really kind of pursue the fact that you want to try to run 90 plays, I think what you want is to have skill kids that understand the system, because to teach a system like that, it takes a little extra time, obviously. So when you're a Princeton grad, you're probably smart enough to learn all of Bob Cerace's plays, and that I think that benefits them. It's just they come at you from so many different angles, and then to have the possibility of having 2 quarterbacks on the field. So Art Link's going to have his hands full, and I think Lafayette's going to have to play some base defense to just make sure they're lined up correctly and you don't give up those big splash plays.
Interesting, too, in the Express Times today, Brad Wilson wrote a column, and one of the things he said we needed to do was find some explosiveness on offense. Yeah. I came up with the exact same key yesterday where we need some explosiveness on offense. Our longest run this year is 14 yards. Our longest pass play is 31 yards. But we've got to give Drew Reed some time to throw that longer pass.
Yeah, football nowadays is predicated on how many splash plays, how many big plays you have. And usually those big plays correlate right over into wins. And we need to do more of that. And it's nothing new. I know Frank Devani and Mickey Fine, they know what they need to do. So I think you'll see them take a few more shots downfield. Very important. When I was coaching, we always try to take 2 or 3 shots each half just to loosen things up, to try to keep a 2-deep secondary, to try to keep safeties out of the box, adding linebackers, things like that. And if you're Lafayette, you must be able to run the football and then come off that with your play action, I think. But you look at Lafayette's strengths, again, may lie in their wide receivers and their quarterback. So this could be a game that could be a shootout, but at the same time, which defensive line, I think Lafayette may have an advantage there.
And any time a football team takes the field for the first time of any season, I think the coach worries about turnovers, making mistakes, and maybe that's something we can take advantage of defensively, because I think our defense has been quite good. They've been where they're supposed to be for the most part.
Defense has played very well, and they played a game where they had to run up and down the field a lot against a lot of good athletes in Game 1, and in Game 2 they had to do both, play against good athletes and play a physical football game. I thought for 3.5 quarters Lafayette was in charge of that football game at the line of scrimmage. It's going to be a situation where Lafayette's going to have to put it all together, and like Frank said, play Lafayette's game, not really worry about who they're playing against.
Well, let's hope they are opportunistic as far as the defensive side of the football is going to be. It starts at 5 o'clock. It was originally scheduled as a 6 o'clock game. It is at 5 o'clock. It will be on the Lafayette Sports Network. For Behind the Mic, he's Mike Joseph. I'm Gary Laubach. Thanks for joining us again this week.